Cheers to you. We are going to discuss becoming a vacation rental design expert. How many of you in this chat actually do Airbnb design? Go ahead and just put me. I'm curious. Get used to keeping it interactive. This is why live is where it's at. I keep the chat very interactive. Woo, great. I love this. I can't wait to see your comments in the chat since you're already doing it. What we're going to discuss is understanding first what the short-term rental market is, how it's different, why this market particularly needs designers, stagers, or people who specialize in it. You, in other words, how adding this lucrative service benefits your business, how to get started offering it. I'm going to just give you the steps to get rolling, some trade and retail shopping design hot tips, how to crush the service, make lots of money, and the easiest and best way to market this Airbnb services. And then I'm also going to give you a couple examples of how to market and price. I'm giving you lots of good information. If I give you all of this great information, is it okay if I tell you about a special I'm having on my course? If that's okay in the chat, just go ahead and put yes. Who is this for? You are in the right place if you're a new stager and designer, or if you're even just thinking about the industry. I have a lot of people go, well, I was just thinking about it because I own a couple rentals and I had a great time designing them. You're in the right place. My veteran stagers and designers, absolutely. Design enthusiasts, but it's not a workshop on how to host Airbnbs. I know there's plenty of workshops and podcasts on that. I don't talk about that. We are all about loving on the design aspect of Airbnbs, and it is for even Airbnb hosts who do love doing design, as I said. So if that's one of you, just go ahead and put me in the chat. I'm assuming it is. Basically, if you like to see rooms go from this to this, you are in the right place. And I'm going to be sharing a lot of before and after photos because I know if you're anything like me, this is what we really like to look at, these amazing transformations. And these are all Airbnb transformations. When I share stories and photos along the way, I'm sharing it from my members who went through my training program. And who am I? If you don't know who I am, my name is Audra Slinky. I started the first online mixed media staging and design training back in 2006. We just celebrated 20 years in business. I blog for my own blog and the National Association of Realtors. I've won many innovative Product of the Year awards through the Real Estate Staging Association for each one of my courses and products. I've shared the stage with Barbara Corcoran, Vern Yip, Sabrina Soto at recent conventions. But the thing that I love, love, love the most is to help people who have a passion for design make money doing what they love, whether it's getting into staging, color, e-design, or vacation rental design. And this is my training, my staging training logo. Here is my color logo. Here's my e-design. And then my latest course is the vacation rental design expert course. So if you see any of these logos on designers' websites, you know they are one of my people. If you're in the chat and you've taken any one of my courses, I'll be curious. Just go ahead and say I've done it or give me a shout out because you know I get nervous every time I do these live events. So I always love to see it when my people are on them. All right. This course or the training that I'm going to talk to you about is not obviously just based upon my personal experience. It's based upon a lot of my members, my designers. What happened is a lot of my stagers and designers were doing Airbnb design and through multiple interviews and chats. But I actually did design. I do own my own Airbnbs and did the design work. I have one on a lake and I have one in the mountains. And as you can imagine, the design for each one of those is very unique and different. So I'm no stranger to it, but I did, like I said, I interviewed many top designers and stagers who actually offer this for that complete course. Oops. And throughout this workshop, you're going to hear their stories, you're going to see their work, and you're even going to see examples because it wouldn't be a correct workshop if I didn't show you how you do it and what I would actually give people in my vacation rental design expert certification. So I'm showing you what's inside that course, but also you're seeing examples of what you can do and how you can do it. The course itself there's 3 phases to it and it's 9 different sections. And so I'm going to briefly kind of walk you through because you're going to get a mini shot of what that looks like in this next hour. So why Airbnb? Why is this so important? And I get so excited about it for designers and stagers and even people to jump into this industry. Basically, it is the epitome of the sharing economy. If you don't know about Airbnb, it started in 2008. How many of you have stayed in an Airbnb? I imagine most all of you in the chat are going to say me. How many of you have stayed in not very attractive Airbnbs? That's the question. Um, it's grown huge. I mean, I only travel in Airbnbs. I think most of you probably do the same. I'm going to Europe in October and we'll be staying in Airbnbs, not hotels. There's 14,000 new hosts that join on average every month. Why is that important to you? Because that means there's getting to be a lot more competition in the Airbnb realm. Anybody basically can be a hotel owner, and it has grown 1,000% since 2011. I know this is no surprise to you. The interesting thing is, vacation VRBO, Verbos, been around longer than Airbnb, but Airbnb has really revolutionized the industry. And one of the reasons is because of what I called kind of the millennial difference. Millennials are that big generation that actually prioritizes travel over buying a home over a lot of different things. They represent Airbnb more than anybody. They're 75% of all consumers and travelers. And that travel is deeply important. They're looking for experiences. They're different generation than my generation and the one even after. So they see it as a critical level. And that's why the design experience needs to be on target. So it's why the staging portion, I see staging design is very critical. This astronomical growth means there's more competition and it's becoming more difficult for people to stand out. And I've even seen it with my own rentals. Standing out is difficult. So well-designed B&B are the ones that do stand out. It's not enough to just simply list the rental. It needs to speak to the target guest, the demographic, and stand out in the crowded space. Now, for those of you who are stagers, does this sound familiar? This kind of reminds me of when we started staging 20 years ago and nobody understood, what that meant. It is really all about, as you guys know, those photos and descriptions, right? Hosts lose money when the property is not occupied. Hosts can raise their prices when their rental is dialed in. It is really simple economics. Again, similar to staging. When a home is beautifully staged and put on the market, it makes more money. It becomes more desirable. So it's that simple economics. Good design is an investment in the earnings of that Airbnb. It's even more of an investment than even a staged home because these are earnings that are night after night after night. Why can you rock this? In these highly competitive markets, it is like staging on steroids. I've always said the thing that I love about staging, it's similar, it's kind of economy proof, design not so much, but having these different services that you offer your clients, whether it's staging or Airbnb design or color, it kind of hedges your business. So it's very competitive right now. It's easy to add to your current staging and design services if you are currently a designer and stager. How many of you in this chat are currently a designer and stager and you do not offer Airbnb design? You don't really know how to do that. Just say me. I'm just curious because I know a lot do. But yeah, great. Good to know. Thank you. Good. You guys are great. I love this. The thing that my designers love about it is it's business to business, which means there's usually more money involved and less emotional. Justifiable client spending to obtain that superhost designation. The hosts want to be superhosts, so they need to have it kind of dialed in. Similar to the home seller, a host, it's really hard for them to be objective about their own home, or many times the hosts don't even live where they've invested, especially today with the dawn of AI and all of this. They're finding the best investment, worldwide, countrywide, so they don't even live there. So that's another reason why they need that. So again, another before and after photo. I love to throw these in here because I know you guys love them. Why else can you rock it? There are very few designers and stagers who actually tackle this growing market. Hardly any of them have a search engine optimized page on their website dedicated to it. I have searched high and low. There's very, very few. Even rare are the ones who actively are marketing to partners in this niche. Oh, you're great, Lisa. It's great. These partners are easy to find. They are looking for Airbnb design specialists who make them look good, and they need you. So it's really kind of a win-win for everyone. Joey, I love Joey's story. She sent me this email a few months ago. And I did her story on a blog post. I think I'm going to send it again to show you. She completed my vacation rental design training, and she focused only on Airbnb design. She just launched literally a handful of months ago, and she sent her contact and website information. She had a page just for Airbnb design because it's what her site was focused on, to the largest property management company in Branson, Missouri. Manages over 1,000 properties. Her contact was so excited to get her information, shared all the detail with their 1,000 property owners, and told them, many of them, they needed to bring her in to design her vacation rentals. And they even mentioned that they plan to drop some of their clients if they don't use a designer. So it was like amazing. She was just like, whoa, I did not know in my area. And I noticed a lot of you, when you said what areas you were in, are in kind of vacation areas, but frankly, there's Airbnbs everywhere. Um, she said she has a meeting, so she sent me this in the beginning of the year, with the largest property management. So she's just so excited to just keep growing and growing. And again, I mentioned partners, Airbnb property managers. Case in point, one that has 1,000 Airbnbs they manage are the ideal kind of partners, one of many that we're going to talk about. Here's another partnership. And this was a surprising one that I got from Trisha, Noble House Design. She teamed up with a mortgage group in her area in Orlando, Florida, and she does all their Airbnbs, which I absolutely love. She was a stay-at-home mom, and now she's closing 300 or 350 in revenue in the last 3 years. So she's loving it, and she's focusing on Airbnbs. She does the boards. This is what I'm walking you through. And then she does the installs, even for basic homes. People just don't necessarily know where to shop and that sort of thing. So why this service will benefit you, it just expands your design services into a more lucrative design market, especially for my stagers. And it's a lot of repeat business because you're partnering with investors, super hosts. Most superhosts have more than one property. Airbnb property managers, I mentioned, the title mortgage companies, even rental house cleaning companies have been known to, I've had members get business from those. If you're in the chat and you've done an Airbnb design, let me know in the chat if you've gotten business from any one of these partners, or list any others that you've heard from, whether it's a friend, whether it was another host. I'll be curious if I'm missing any, because I learn something from every one of these live events, especially since so many of you said that you're actually designing Airbnbs. Kate Geddes, and I shared her story. Yeah, word of mouth is huge. She said that she was blown away with it. And I actually shared some of her photos. She focused on a really unique Airbnb experience in her area. Makes really home, which I love. So how many of you, great, you guys real estate, yeah, real estate agents, that's another one, huge. How many of you on this line are home stagers? I'll just be curious, because stagers actually have, and this is one reason why I launched this, my core course is staging. And this is why, to me, this is such a natural progression for stagers, because a lot of my stagers don't want to get into full-blown design because they've done it and it's just been a huge headache for them. Or this kind of design is a lot more manageable because it is similar to staging. But here's the reason why stagers have a specific advantage offering it. They actually have the warehouse space and logistics to receive product. So one of the things I teach in the training is mixing trade and retail to bring into a property, timing those deliveries. And when you shop trade, obviously you're getting 50% of the product value of that because you get 50% discount. You usually have to deal with the receiver. Don't worry, in my training, I have all the receivers in every area across the country listed, but stagers don't have to deal with receivers. They can have it just come straight to them when they receive that product. They have multiple trade connections already in place. It's an easy add-on for my stagers. And stagers also, especially my vacant stagers, they have the ability to fill in the gaps, because a lot of my vacant stagers, let's say the coffee table didn't come in time and the photographer is going to come, they can just pull the coffee table from their inventory and put it in the home. And some of my stagers even say that's sometimes how they turn over some of their inventory. So it's kind of a natural progression for a stager. If you don't offer Airbnb, this is a real kind of slam dunk. Here's a great idea. I was speaking at a convention, a show homes convention, and one of the members, Brian Thomas, said when he stages a home that he knows is probably going to be sold as a vacation rental, he actually leaves this flyer out there. I think it's brilliant. It's got his brand. It says the furnishings in this staged home can support your business opportunity as a vacation rental. Ask us how. And it's how he turns over a lot of his furnishings. Isn't that smart? So it's a really easy way for him to resell, design and stage, and resell all his furnishings at once. Mitch, who I think he might be speaking at this year's RisaCon, he's one of my members, awesome stager, designer, vacation rental. He shared this post of how he got this design. They assisted an investor. They selected the finish, the layout of the home. They staged it, listed it. The buyer loved it all so much. Of course, they asked him to come back and design it for their short-term rental. So it was great. They got the staging and they got the short-term rental side. And another reason for just everybody is you actually make more money on each project, because it's not like you're just designing a room or lightly staging. You actually do whole homes, so you can actually charge more. It is, again, that investment. It's less about budget, it's more about increased rates. Quality furnishing saves people time in the long run. Your hosts don't want things breaking on them, so they need them that next level up. And it gives you the ability to kind of get creative and find spaces that you brand, along with a little fun and artistic leeway. And that's kind of the fun side of it. My stagers kind of get a little bored sometimes with the formula, where this you can get a little kicky, a little fun. Holly, who does a lot of Airbnb design, again in Branson, Missouri, she makes it really fun. She has her little signs. You can see she adds a lot of splash of color, but none of these furnishings are over the top expensive. This is a small space, but she makes it just look unique, kind of cool, and she gets a little creative with it. I love how she actually handmade the sign. It's kind of cute where it says where everything is. So some hot tips about designing. It is really about creating those photographable, Instagrammable spaces. Your guests will take photos. Designing for that millennial use, designing in layers. And really about surprising and delighting guests by the unexpected touches. It's really the little things, the little amenities, a lot of times that the guests love. Consequently, it's those little things that aren't there that the guests will complain about in the reviews. So it really is all in the details. No joke, this is the crazy thing. So I have a crazy story for you, and I'm sure you guys have crazy stories too, but this literally just happened to our Mammoth rental. We leave a couple frozen pepperoni pizzas in the freezer, because a lot of times guests come in late, they fly in late, and it's just nice to not have to go out, and they can just pop them in the oven. Well, we got a complaint because one of our guests was a vegetarian. Anyway, side crazy story, but I'm sure, how many of you who run an Airbnb have some crazy stories of yourself? If you do, go ahead and put me, so I don't feel so alone in some of the crazy stories that we hear. Anyway, here's what I love. So speaking of unexpected, this designer, Annika, yeah, Leah's like, yeah, this was just a basement in a home. A lot of these mountain homes have basements like this. And it was it was behind this mirror where people then would go up to the main living area. And she put a mirror there and she turned it into a speakeasy. Do you think a speakeasy and an Airbnb rental versus just a regular rental is going to get probably rented a lot more and for a little bit higher rates? Yes. So it costs the owner more, but in the long-term revenue and the surprise and delight factor, really cool idea, right? Here is another one, here's another one she did. I love it. It was another basement, and the living room is above. She created the spiral staircase from the living room, created again another kind of hidden space with extra beds. So it is about heads and beds, very smart, and also just unique touches. Um, and here's another one. It's kind of cute little things in the kids' room, a little swing. So really, it's about spending on the important stuff and saving on the less stuff. So you're going to mix high-low furnishings. And I know so many of you, because you love design, you know how to do this, but you need that luxurious look, but it still needs to be that return on investment. So it's like staging, but it needs to be comfortable and high performance. So high performance fabrics for couches, ideally slip covered so they last. So those are the things you're going to spend on. Sturdy furniture, again, not necessarily the Amazon and Wayfair, because that stuff will degrade, especially with renters in there. Within a year, your hosts may not be super happy about that. And that's the stuff you can talk to them about. Go luxe on the bedding, splurge on statement pieces like art and lighting, because that stuff will never get old. Here's a before photo, and here's the after, and you can see she splurged on the lighting. It's just kind of fun. It's a statement piece. Stuff that you can save on, there's actually a lot. You save on pillows because you're going to throw those out probably every year. Some of the decor, rugs, kitchen stocking items. I always recommend, and I did a post, hopefully you saw it, on the Amazon for kitchen stocking items, and then you can provide the client kind of the buy list so they can restock if they need, and those can be affiliate links where you make money, and that allows the client to easily replenish them. Use Amazon for bedding basics. Laura had a good point. Absolutely true. Furniture assembly adds up. So they're better off buying level up furniture. But definitely mattress covers, pillow covers, that sort of thing. So how to get started? Research your area. Really go to Airbnb, go to VRBO, and start looking at things in your area. And what I always recommend is search 3-bedroom, openable wide area, as far as you would drive. Search for the 3 bedrooms and search for the lows, search for the highs, and notice the difference. Because you are understanding different investment levels, and you'll notice that the ones that are charging a higher amount are the ones that are well designed versus the low amount. A luxury rental desiring $1,000 a nightly fee produces a specific guest expectation. Would you not agree? If you're a guest and you're paying over $1,000 a night, you're going to expect, here's a level of expectation. So understand all that goes into an Airbnb. And like I said, consider that affiliate, Amazon. There's plenty you can buy on Amazon, of course, for those low, and then trade for the higher items, trade incomes. So I talk a lot about, shopping trade. In the next week or two, I'm going to give you kind of a my favorite trade vendors and kind of their discounts and how to shop them. You guys are good. I have, if you haven't gotten it yet, I have a vacation rental critical inventory checklist. Now, this is a Canva template I give my members in my training. So obviously they put their own photo in it, and it's something they give their own clients. But it's really valuable to hosts because it just makes sure that they bought everything, because it's really easy to forget things. Don't worry, I'm going to give it to you on the replay page as a bonus. Not as the Canva template for you to edit, but for you to look at it. You can create your own if you'd like. But you'll see I also include a link to, here's my favorite Airbnb, so you can see how I would do it. You could create your own. There's my favorite Amazon products, affiliate link. So it's really easy to do. So you can see it has like the home essentials, and then it links to my Amazon home essentials. My kitchen checklist, replaceable items, linking to it. So easy for someone to go in and just buy. And then, of course, I say, the number one mistake is not using a designer. So this, by the way, is how a lot of my designers will market their services. They can have an ad, a Facebook ad. I talk about marketing that says, are you a superhost? Are you an Airbnb property manager? I have a full checklist if you'd like it. This is a very popular item that people download from me all the time. And you can create your own. And this is how people find out more about you. It's called a sales funnel. It's a wonderful thing. How many of you, if you are a designer and stager, have these kind of sales funnels on your website for your different design services? Anybody? Yes, no, I'll be curious. It's how you automate your marketing. It's an easy way to kind of put out there. You have an Instagram ad, get my free checklist. They sign up for it. Then you send them an email every other day, give them more tips, show them some of your work, some really good ideas for Airbnbs. But it's a really easy way to automate your marketing and build your business while you sleep. All right. But you do need to know your design numbers. Quick floor plans. There's a lot of really good tools out there for that now. Shopping trade, when to shop trade, quick purchasing. I talk a lot about that in my training. Obviously, I can't. I could spend hours on that now, but I can't. But just know that's the fun about being in design and having a business in design is you actually do get to shop trade. You get to go to the market, whether it's the Las Vegas market or High Point. These are markets that are twice a year in those different locations where you're a kid in a candy store. Um, if you want to see, I have videos on my blog post to show you a little bit about it, but it's really fun where you're shopping and everything is at least 50% off as a designer. So you're like a furniture retailer. But I do talk a lot about exactly how to do that in the training. So if you were worried about that, I do talk about that. I love Leia's story because she's unique. She was originally an Airbnb superhost. How many of you did you say on the chat are superhosts? Go ahead and put me. She put her personal for sale. She remodeled. She stated she got so many requests. People wanted them to go and do her Airbnbs. So she travels actually across the country designing short-term rentals from Vegas to Tennessee to New York. She does the e-designs. She does the floor plans. She uses design files. If you don't know what e-design is, I have a free e-design training on my site about that, but it shows you kind of how to put these floor plans together. And she can either give it to them and they shop it direct, or she just gets their approval. She shops and she travels there and does the installs. She absolutely loves it. And she even has landed contracts with management companies across the country. Here's a quick example of a cute little design board she did for kind of probably a Palm Desert home. Here's the before photo, and here's that home. So you can see maximalist, but fun. Here's a home. Can you guess what the theme is in this photo of a home that she did? I don't know if you can see it very well. You could probably tell where she's located. She did this one in Orlando, Florida, and you guessed it, yes, Disney Peter Pan. She did each room a different Disney theme. So it's just a lot of fun. Mitchell and Louise, that's me with them at Recent Convention. He said an agent knew that he was a stager, contacted him about an investor who needed the Airbnb completely furnished. And again, this is the example of showing them what you're going to do. And this is, by the way, what designers do. They do the design boards. They get sign off. Yes, I love it. Here's the budget. And then by the time you see this board, that's what it looks like installed. Now, tell me quickly, do you think looking at that board and then looking at the install, do you think that the client has a very good idea of what that room's going to look like after seeing the design board? Yes. So do you think the design board creates confidence and trust? Yes. Design boards are very easy to do. People even can do them on Canva, but it's a kind of a first step and an easy step to doing this kind of work. I know most of you, a lot of you said you were stagers and designers. I'm assuming most of you do design boards for your work. If so, put me. I'll be curious. Here's another design board he did. I love it. Just throws the product in the board so they can see it and sign off. And there. So it builds the trust. I always just like to see the board and then the after room. Oops. He made over 20,000 profit on that one very small Airbnb project. It's just a really small home. So you can see there's money to be made. So if you are a designer and stager, my best advice is just align this new service similarly to your other design services, but understand that speed and efficiency is critical. If you are a designer, it is quick. It's a quick time frame. I recommend an onboarding process that breeds professionalism, expertise, and credibility. I'm going to show you what I mean. And the most important thing is really speaking to the client's struggle and how you benefit them. It's really, this is kind of business 101. It's not about you, it's about their needs. They want higher prices. They want it rented. And right now, a lot of times their place is not rented. So in phase 3 of my training, I kind of walk through an entire process to sell and streamline your business for success. I walk through your design packages and the correct way of pricing in your area. And then, of course, marketing, which I've touched on a little bit. But I'll show you a little bit what that looks like. I always think it's a good idea for any one of your design services to have a success path that your clients can see, that they can see, here's where I'm at, here's where I end. So it starts with a contact form on your website, ideally, if you're a designer stager. So they're contacting you about that service. To get your investment guide. They review your investment guide. They schedule a discovery call. You talk about their project, whether it's a fit for you. If so, you move forward with a consultation, whether it's in person or remote, and then a detailed design plan, which you saw some examples of that, order and install. And then finally, I always say, what's the end result? An in-demand, better occupancy rates, higher prices, and repeat rave guests. This is what the client wants. How do they get there? The prior 6 steps. You see where I'm going with this? So if you don't have something like this for, your services to kind of walk your clients through, you assume that they should know what you're going to give them, but they don't always do that. So it's always good to have. So here's an example of what that looks like. And this is built in HoneyBook. HoneyBook is an easy way for you to organize all your projects. It's a CRM, if you will. I love it. But you can use 17 Hats or Wave or whatever you're used to using for a contact form on your website. But here's an example of a quick one I built where it says, let's build a quote that fits your perfect service for your lifestyle and your home's needs. Answer these quick questions to get my price guide, or click here to schedule your free discovery call. Ultimately, I want them to schedule a call with me. That's really my call to action. I want them to pick up the phone and schedule a call, or just to schedule it. So then if they were to select the short-term rental Airbnb design, answer a few questions, they're going to get this investment guide. So go ahead, if you need to take screenshots, you could create this. This is a Canva template that we do provide people in the training, but you could certainly create your own. And I recommend, as any good investment guide outline, it should first be about the benefits of Airbnb design, and then the benefits of working with you, and a little bit about you. So the first was why Airbnb design is so critical. Then the next one's about me. You got to personalize it. Whenever I say website with anyone's photo on it, people don't want to buy from someone they can't see. And then whatever your team, and then your portfolio, and then what makes you different. So I'm obviously, in my training, I've got like 9 different points of what makes people different, having gone through it. And then even statistics, there are actually statistics out there that talk about how a well-designed Airbnb will make people money. So these are like bottom line facts. Some people go with the emotion. They're going to want to see your photos. Other people buy on facts. And then we have kind of a what best fits you, where are you at, whether you have a rental, whether you don't. If you have an existing rental, if you're a property manager. So I'm addressing, basically, those are frequently asked questions. I'm addressing them. And then they're all there. So after they do that form and they get that guide, how many of you think I need to sell myself very much in the discovery call after they reviewed all that? No, I don't. And that's the beauty, because there's nothing worse than going on a call and having it be cold. And please save your questions. I'm going to answer them at the end. I promise you. As Justine says, they are pre-qualified. If they don't schedule a discovery call, it's because they didn't fit my criteria. And frankly, I don't want to waste time on someone that wants to spend $500 to furnish their entire Airbnb, because we've all heard about those people. So anyway, imagine only spending time on the phone with qualified prospects who know your process, your pricing, and are your ideal client. How would that feel not to sell? And the point is, if you're regularly driving traffic to that contact page through the marketing, you can say goodbye to the ones that you don't care, and you're going to be busy with the ones that are the right ones. So you might want to screenshot this. This is this is kind of a discovery call sheet. It's just in Word that I give my members so that you ask the right questions in the phone call. So this is the discovery call. Once they get to discovery call, what do we need to know? We want to know what the square footage is, the year built, what the price of it is. It's like staging, because if it is a high priced home, then there's an expectation again, whether it's a new rental, an existing, whether we're working with existing furnishings or not, what's the current nightly rate, what would they like to see, um, managed linens. These are all the questions that you're going to want to ask to help whether they're a fit for you. So here is where sometimes designers go wrong. They do not have a credible or specific service process in place. So I'm walking you through a service process. I just showed you a brief glimpse for Airbnb design, but frankly, even for your design services or staging services or whatnot, it's good to have that kind of professional process. They don't understand that this is a very, very unique market and how to capitalize on it. They just say, I do Airbnb design, and they don't have a separate page on their website. They're not actively marketing to Airbnb property managers. They're not speaking to those target markets' needs. They're not educating them on product costs and the benefits of quality. How many of you in the chat have worked with clients that say they want a restoration hardware look, but they only have a Walmart budget? Anybody? Yeah, I think we all have. And the absolute truth is it's not their fault. I have learned to take ownership. It's actually my fault, because a lot of times people do not know all that goes into a room. They think, oh, couch, coffee table, chair, but they forget about the rug and the pillows and the decor and the lamp and the side tables. You know what I'm saying? So once they start adding it up, they realize, oh, wow, yes, this does add up. And I don't want Walmart furnishings when I want $1,000 a night guest experience. So one thing that I have in the training, and I think it's useful, again a Canva template, so it can be totally edited, but it's kind of the pricing that I recommend people do. So when we talk pricing, is based on the quality of furnishings, and that kind of fits with the nightly rate or the level of Airbnb. If it's kind of a lower level Airbnb, they might want the decent. They might want the IKEA, Amazon, Target stuff. And we can add all that up. And actually, this one doesn't have the totals, but in mine it says average per room. Here's what it costs. For IKEA, average 5,000 for a bedroom, 6,000 for a living room, right? Um, Good is really where we're going to start getting better things, better trade. We're going to mix in trade. It's very helpful. Thank you, Meg. It's very helpful because it's not their fault. They don't know. And then when they start adding it up, they're like, wait, I want my clients, I want it to look like Party Barn. I want it to look like CB2. So we've actually buffed this in better than it is even here. But we have the living room, we have the bedroom, we have these budget guides so that they can kind of you can work with them in an educated way to walk them through what's going to fit their place. So you're partnering with them on price and budget. Where do they go wrong? They don't educate on that. There's a direct relationship between guest nightly rates and furnishing quality and price. There really is. People recognize cheap. We all know. Not understanding that there's very little competition in this field, so they can raise their prices. I found when I interviewed people left and right, they were going too low, and they even admitted to me, "Oh, I just kind of priced it like my stage job." And I said, "No, you don't realize that this is something that's important. They don't want things to break, and you're unique in this field." And not educating on timeline. And this is the average timeline. And this is actually a pretty aggressive one, but we have to be aggressive. Most hosts are really ready to get their Airbnb up and ready, but it starts with the assessment, looking for the vendors. This is if we're not even doing paint, wallpaper, all of that stuff, client presentation, and then all the orders. So it takes time. Not separately packaging or stair stepping their pricing. So I mentioned the good, better, best based on furnishing. Well, that goes into pricing as well. Trying to price like a designer instead of packaging like an expert. Most people, again, you're working with business to business. They don't want to see a never ending timesheet. They want to see a package price, and they're happy to pay more for it. Packaging a relationship to the furnishing quality so that the client can value up or value down according to their budget. So here, and I know you guys are like, oh, this is the pricing. It's not, because actually in my price point, I actually walk people through what you do for each area, whether you're going up a couple bucks or down a couple few bucks, up or down $5, but it's really packaged by square foot. That way we fit the scale of the price, and then we can also get the right furnishing. So it's packaged by square foot based on the good, better, best furnishings that they want. And also that's just for photograph ready. And then they add other packages. So my girl Lisa, who's even on this line, I love this. She shared, I did a blog post a while back. She shared her presentation, which was beautiful. And I should have showed it in here, but if you want to see, she had a gorgeous presentation. You can look in some of my past blog posts, look for her photo where she fully showed how she put it together for a rental that she did. And she did everything right. She took my training. It is a lot of work. She set up her sales funnel. She set up her site, which is gorgeous. She got her first project in December. She started contacting property managers, wise woman, and she got her first project. It was turnkey. They trusted her because when you see her presentation, there was no way they were not going to. And then they did all additional packages. They did her outdoor package, her window covering package, her kitchen stocking package, her linens, and her electronics package. So that's the way I kind of walk people through how to price it, because not everybody needs that in their rental. And so she probably did pretty good on her first rental. So again, they don't speak to their unique struggles and needs. Their struggle is they need it to look good and to be occupied, or just reacting to the wrong client I mentioned, and not actively marketing. So a lot of people don't actively market. And Lisa was amazing because she was very smart. She actually put together a list of property managers. She actually did this as a remote job, which I was so incredibly impressed with, because even in my training, I say, tackle your area first. There's enough Airbnb hosts and property managers in your own area. Cut your teeth first locally, and then you can actually start doing things remote. But she was amazing. So hot tips for marketing. Did you know that there are Airbnb websites and associations and Facebook groups that actually have your target markets on them? How many of you are active in any of the Facebook groups for real estate investors, property managers? Anybody? I'll just be curious. There's some great websites already out there. You're not supposed to obviously contact superhosts on their site. And you can create an automated process, which I mentioned before. I'm going to show you a little bit of what it looks like, so it kind of works while you sleep. Here is, remember Joey? She used this. This is actually a Canva template. Again, you could take a photo of it that we give people in the training, but you can create your own. If you don't, how many, you all use Canva, right? Yes, Canva, Canva. It's free, helps you create all these cool marketing templates that make you look good. Yeah. So if you don't use Canva, that alone on this workshop will be worth it for you to hear. Anyway, so we have flyers like this and brochures that we've created that are in the training, that is just the easy plug and play for people to get professionally, kind of, they download PDF and they send them to the property managers, so that the property managers can then send them to their clients. And that's all Joey did. She contacted that property manager, had 1,000 property owners that were probably badgering them because their places aren't getting rented. And so the property manager said, you know what? It's not getting rented because it's not standing out. Here is a flyer to a designer that actually specializes in this kind of work. So they did the marketing for her. Here's another brochure example that we have. Unlock your short-term rentals full potential. Again, all this can be edited when someone takes the training. They include your own photos, obviously their own information. They swap out their own cute little photo. But there's not much to do. It's already set up and it looks great. And this is in print if people want to actually go in person, but I actually like the PDF where they can just email. So you can go either or. Other really good ways to market, again, is targeting real estate investors. I had one of my clients, she went to a real estate investor meeting and they were like, oh, we already use an Airbnb designer. And she said, okay, but do you mind if I show you some of my work or send you an email of some of my work? So if she's busy, I'm happy to help. And then she showed him some of her design boards. And keep in mind, she had never even had a job. These were her kind of ultimate design boards that she's like, this is kind of my style, my look. They loved her style so much, kind of like you saw the design board of Mitch and Leah, that they decided to use her. So it was great. um, creating that systemized approach, it gives someone something of value, builds your credibility, like that budget guide or that host list that we get. So these are things that we have. These are just some ideas. We have this in our training. You saw it, the accessory inventory checklist. Super hosts really love this, Airbnb hosts, or new people that just buy an Airbnb because they don't know what to put. So these are the kind of things that they want as freebies. You could do an Instagram ad. You saw that budget guide that I showed you. That is kind of a giveaway that my members can, in Canva, they can change the colors and use that as an ad as well, or even the investment guide, trying to figure out how, what it takes or how much does it cost to furnish your Airbnb. Here's a budget guide. And we also now have a welcome packet. Yeah, we did add this to the training. So that's just another benefit that works with property managers. So here's what it looks like. And you may have seen it if you run into my Instagram ads. I have an Instagram ad. You can do an Instagram ad locally, and Instagram, Facebook, they can walk you through kind of who it is, property managers you can tackle, people who follow these type of things. And it's room by room checklists, and it kind of looks like this. And then it takes them to that for their email. It takes them to get that guide. And then you see it has the call to action. You saw that. We're told them if they need a designer, here's a discovery call. And then once they come to my website, what's really cool about Facebook and Instagram is you can retarget them with other goodies and other things. And that you can also measure your return on money, which is that's called ROA. And so you can see, okay, if I spend $10 on ads and I got, 2 leads, is that worth it? So you can actually see where the money kind of goes with it and kind of finesse your ad spend. It's that intentional marketing system that fuels your ideal leads. The onboarding weeds out the Walmart kind of budget clients, and your hosts become wowed, and you're not selling, you're actually just consulting at that point with them. You're exploring in the call because confidence comes from that knowledge. So investing in your learning and inevitably, leads to more confidence. Um, this again, all those things that you saw, those are things you can absolutely do yourself. And I think it's good if you're offering this, you put together your price list, some ideas for how giveaways that you could give. There's a lot out there. People even just love to look at, before and after photos, or even creating those concept boards of, good ideas for your area. If you live in a beach area, a coastal board, or that sort of thing. And if you go to my blog, you'll see that's what Lisa's was. It was a coastal home. It looks fantastic. Um, Packaged pricing. So my training course, though, has it all. It's an automated system that fuels leads. Why reinvent? It's really that blueprint. It's a 3-day online training that you take at your own pace. So you have access for a year to all these materials. I've had people literally set it up for their business in 3 days. It's 9 modules. It's Facebook group, trainer support. It's online, so you can refer back to it. We're usually adding to it. It's copy and paste materials. I just gave you a glimpse, but there's tons of materials, forms, contracts, Canva templates. You really could launch the service for your business in 3 days. You get a glimpse here, and you can even do it on your own. So I love Jennifer. She said that she was blown away. She's moving actually her entire staging business into this direction. She loves it. She wants less clients, larger scale. And that's kind of what this is. You really only need, I mentioned Mitch said he made 20,000 on that one project, 10 projects a year, and you're kind of set, one a month. Sydney actually just sent me, it was really sweet. She just sent me this testimonial in the last 2 weeks. She said that training had so many tips and tricks. She is a commercial interior designer for 20 years, and she still learns so much from the course, which I love. So she's starting it, and she's actually focusing completely on Airbnb, which I don't expect you to do. If you're a stager or a designer, this just could be another service. Set up the funnel, and then it just kind of let it feed. Lisa, you're so sweet. Lisa said the Canva templates alone are worth it. Again, it's We cover everything. There's no question not covered. Thank you, Heather. You guys are great. 3 phases, walking you through my favorite trade resource, how to shop trade, where to shop, how to build the boards, how to set up the expectation, how to create this service on your site, how to add it, um, how to price it. The pricing really alone, because the pricing and the packaged model is really kind of revolutionary. I've had a lot of my designers say, whoa, I'm making so much more per home, because a lot of these investors, they won't flinch. I mean, it's packaged. They just don't like that never ending, you know, a timeline of design. So how many of you learned a little bit in the last hour on Airbnb design? You guys are so sweet. Thank you. Oh my gosh. I did not pay these people in the chat room to be there. If you learn, I always say, if you learned a little bit in the last hour with me, imagine 3 days with me. And I'm so sorry, because sometimes I go so quickly and I don't cover as fully when I do these live things. And my voice is going out on me because I was just coming off of vacation and I was whooping it up a little too much with my friends. So I'm sorry if I sound a little croaky. Anyway, you guys are great. Cheers. Any questions? Like to say, oh, good. Luann, come on, you will love it. Oh, I didn't even mention, you guys, every one of my courses, I have an unheard of 72-hour refund policy. So if you get in and you're like, this is not what she showed me, this is not what she told me about, we will refund. Let us know within 72 hours, we'll refund. And nobody does that. No informational product does that. No questions asked. You guys are great. What is the best way to keep track of items in the design board? Okay, design files. Great question. So I love the technology. It's called designfiles.co. They're a partner of mine, so I even give you a discount in the training. I should have mentioned that. And what you do is when you're shopping, you click on a little browser button and it will throw that product into that board, and it'll throw in the pricing, the information, everything. And you can decide what you want the client to see. So it does all the hard work for you. Great software. Um, I do recommend Wayfair. I use a lot of Wayfair for pillows and whatnot. It's great, but the furniture, sometimes just look at the reviews, make sure it's sturdy, and a lot of it is assembled, so you don't want something you have to assemble, because your clients have to pay for you to do that, right? It's easier for them to pay a couple hundred more and get the table that's sturdy, real wood, not assembled. Just a little hint. Somebody says they're considering the niche. It's a great. You do not get lifetime access, no, and the reason why I do this is because we like to refresh our materials. So it's every year, but to renew, if you really need to get back in the materials, it's $99. So it's not that much. And sometimes I have people that have taken one of my courses, 5 years ago, and we're always adding and evolving it, and we'll come in 5 years later and renew at $99. It's fine. Once you pay for the certificate, you also get a certificate, by the way. I should have mentioned, it is a certification. So you get that as well. Somebody said, how do you handle clients who need contractor, new walls, flooring, bathroom overhaul? Great question. That is something that you don't touch. You can give design advice, but no, I wouldn't really want to do that. I mean, it's up to you. You can expand to that, but I'm telling you the simplest and easiest form to offer this kind of niche design. So somebody said, I mean, you could offer that and put together those contractors, or maybe if you're a stage-owned designer, you already have that in place. So you can kind of put that system into this business. But if you're brand new and you're thinking, I want to do Airbnb design, you say, nope, this is what I do. I do photographable spaces. How does the designer work with the receivers? These are nationwide receivers. You just contact them and they'll tell you how much it costs to receive the product. And I have a whole list that you can contact. Yeah, because contractors, you're taking on a little bit of liability if you want to manage the whole project. Frankly, that's what your contractor's for. Your contractor should be managing their contractor should be managing the whole project and taking their 25%. So that's their job to do and not necessarily yours. You're giving them the design advice. Great, you guys were wonderful. Thank you. Cheers. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your night. I'm going to follow up with the replay via email and emails. Take care. Cheers to you. Thank you.